Welcome to another episode of the JCMoseleyFC Podcast. We are excited to be back. We have a lot to talk about this week. My name is Elliot, and as always, I'm here with Christian. Great to have you here, Christian. We do have a lot to talk about this week, don't we?
Yeah, really exciting episode, honestly. A lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, why don't we just go ahead and jump right in? We'll start with the Ballon d'Or. So the Ballon d'Or just happened as we're recording yesterday. So we kind of found out the results yesterday. We were texting a little bit throughout the day and giving our opinions through text, but let's chat about it here on the podcast. So Rodri ended up taking the prize. What did you make of that?
Rodri taking the prize. I mean, I don't think that, Vini got robbed. Honestly, I would have picked Vini because I think he had a more impressive season. Winning the Champions League. Like the goals he scored. He was very decisive in a lot of games. He was a very important player. I think he was the best player at Real Madrid, honestly, if you look at the whole season. But Rodri, of course, is an amazing player. Like, even though I hate Manchester City, yes, I'm a Chelsea fan. Sorry, guys, I don't know why I said that, but I just don't like Manchester City. But I think that Rodri is a great player. Like he was so important in that City team, but he was not even the best player with Manchester City. But I mean, I can kind of like understand why they believe that he deserved to win, because he won the Euros, he won the Club World Cup, he won the UEFA Super Cup. He won a lot of trophies. He was very decisive in the games. So I think that, even though I still think that Vini should have won it, but I won't say that, it was like a huge disgrace that, UEFA or the Ballon d'Or ceremony is like they're corrupt. I will not say that, but, and again, that's my opinion. I think that's why they have like 100 journalists from different countries that will pick. And, we each have a different opinion about things. And unfortunately for Vini, they decided that Rodri was winning the Ballon d'Or. So as I was saying earlier, I don't think he was robbed, but I still think Vini should have won it. What do you think, Elliot?
Yeah, I think I feel like the expectation in the days leading up to it was that Vini was going to win. And then starting to hear about Rodri, I mean, this is kind of the problem now as well with social media and stuff. Things seem to get leaked before it happens, so we kind of feel like we already know what's going to happen before it happens. So we were kind of hearing about Rodri potentially being the player to win it, and I agree with you. I don't think it was a robbery. I do think Rodri had a great season. I'm a little surprised. Ballon d'Or tends to favor players that play for a Champions League winning team that season. Man City, of course, didn't win the Champions League this year, so I was a little surprised for that. But I guess Rodri was in the Spain team that won the Euros. He's very influential there. Like you said, too, one of the most important players at Manchester City. I mean, the thing that we love about football is goals. That's what makes it entertaining. And Rodri's added goals to his game in the last couple of years. I mean, he's started scoring a lot more goals, but he does a lot of the things that the stats don't really show in terms of the stuff that's exciting to watch. Do you know what I mean?
As a whole team midfielder.
Anyway, it's not the most glamorous of positions. So I understand why, especially with primarily Ronaldo and Messi winning it in the last 15, 20 years. I understand why people have a hard time with a defensive midfielder winning the Ballon d'Or. It's not something that's happened. I mean, I know we had Modric won it in 2018. And again, that was just kind of because I think partly that was because he had a good season with Real Madrid, but also good World Cup with Croatia. Like you said, they tend to favor the players that have done well at international tournaments. It's kind of what it seems like. Last year, Messi winning it. I don't know that Messi
No
deserved
comment.
to win it necessarily, but he won the World Cup. That's why they ultimately gave it to him. I think we're looking at a little bit of a similar situation here with, Rodri won the Euros for Spain. He was a very influential player at Man City this season when they won their 5th title in a row. So I think I read he was only on the losing side once in 2024 so far. And that was the FA Cup final against Man United. That's the only game he's actually lost when he's played the full 90 minutes, which is crazy.
Yeah, it is.
So, and of course he's out with an injury right now, which we never like to see injuries, but yeah, I think he had a great year, but here's the thing that I was just thinking was crazy is how Real Madrid seemed to they heard the news about, well, we're not giving it to Vinny, and then they decide they're going to go, right, well, we're just not going to show up then. We're not going to be here. I don't know. To me, that just kind of seems a bit almost childish and crazy. Like, I understand why they'd be upset, but they had other players that were going to be represented there. They had other, their coach Ancelotti won the best coach award at the Ballon d'Or ceremony. They had other things to be there for. I don't know what you think about that, though. I'm interested to hear what you think.
I think I don't know. I saw it on my Instagram from Fabrizio, Romano. I saw the update and I was like, what is it? Like, what's going on? I don't think I don't think I've ever seen this before. Just because you don't win the Ballon d'Or, your team doesn't win the Ballon d'Or, then you just don't show up. I mean, obviously they have the right to do it. I mean, nobody can like force them to go to the Ballon d'Or ceremony. But I think that it wasn't class from them. I don't think it was professional. But frustration happens. I mean, I just want to also go back to the Ballon d'Or. Honestly, I feel like it's lost a lot of credibility. It's just they just have like some interesting decisions. I mean, with Messi winning in 2021, didn't make sense to me at all. And Messi is a great player. Like, even if, let's say, for example, you don't like Real Madrid, you don't like Inter Miami, you don't like Argentina, you cannot deny that he is one of the greatest ever. Like, Messi is an amazing player, but I don't think he deserved it in 2021. I think Lewandowski deserved it in 2021. He had a much better season. He won like a lot of trophies. Like, he deserved it, I think, in my opinion. And then in 2023, that was the worst, because I was like, how can you not give it to Holland? He won everything. They won like the treble, like, and then just because Messi wins the World Cup, I mean, sure, it's a huge accomplishment. The World Cup, don't get me wrong, but like, the World Cup is just a month. It's just like, it's what, 7 games, and yeah, that's why he won the World Cup, because he was one of the best players in the world to win. So he won the World Cup. He also won, he won the player of the tournament. He deserved all of that. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think he was definitely the Ballon d'Or winner. And again, that's just my opinion. Again, it's just that's some controversial. And you also mentioned 2018 when Modric won, even though Modric only scored 4 goals. Like, I mean, the World Cup he had was great. Don't get me wrong. That's why he went. He was runner up. He won player of the tournament. But translating into that to like, okay, you did a great at the World Cup, I'll give you the Ballon d'Or, because Real Madrid was carried by the Ronaldo during that 2018 year. Like, the Champions League, like, it was like he scored like, I think 10 or 12 goals, something like that. Ridiculous. He was the best player in Real Madrid. So I don't know, like, I don't know if he's biased or something, but I think they need to revise their way of, like, maybe criterias to be. And I know that they kind of revise over the years. I don't know if you noticed that the past couple of years they change it every year. They're like, no, this year let's do this, because I think in the past they had like maybe like all the one journalist for all FIFA member countries, and now they moved it to 100, only the top 100. I don't know if you know the story of that, Elliot.
I don't actually
Yeah.
know.
So essentially, I don't know exactly the numbers, but they used to have like a lot of journalists. They used to have like different type of people voting, and now they moved it from that format after the Messi fiasco in 2021. They moved it to, oh, okay, we're only gonna do the top 100 journalists. So that means that in the FIFA whatever ranking, that is kind of useless, but they use like the first top 100 countries essentially,
Hmm.
and they have those people vote. So they have to have
Interesting.
3 people, and this is how they match by points. So let's say, if you vote for third, you get a certain amount of points. If you vote second, you get a certain amount of points, and then the winner, of course, that's how it is, right? So that's how they do it now. I don't know, but I feel like they just need to change that. And again, that's my opinion. But just to go back to this, I don't think Rodri robbed it. I hear people say no, he doesn't deserve it. Vinny was much better. I don't think so. Um, it's like but I mean, do you think Vinny should have won it, or you think Rodri deserved
I
it?
I think
Honestly,
if Vinny had won it, I don't think
hmm
anybody would have had any arguments.
yeah,
He had a great season. He is a phenomenal player,
hmm
but I don't really think anyone can argue that Rodri. I don't like you said.
yeah,
I don't think anyone can say it was a robbery. Like you
yeah,
mentioned, Lewandowski not winning in 2021. In my opinion, that was a robbery.
yeah,
Lewandowski should
definitely.
have won it
What
in
about Holland
2021.
in
Haaland
2023?
last year, I think probably should have won it too, with
Yeah,
the breaking the record of the goals scored in a single season in the Premier League, winning the treble,
yeah,
winning the Champions League as well, obviously, which was part of the
uh-huh.
treble. But he plays for a country that didn't play in the World Cup.
Yeah,
That's why he didn't win,
yeah,
which
absolutely.
is crazy.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely. So sorry for putting you on the spot, but I was just asking, like, let's say if you were one of the journalists, who would you pick for winning the Ballon d'Or if it was up to you?
If it was up to me,
Yeah.
well, see,
You don't
this
even
is
have to
where,
worry about it. It doesn't even have to be between Rodri or Vini. Anybody, like,
yeah.
who
See,
would you pick?
this is where it's interesting. I know there's the English bias here, but I probably would pick Jude Bellingham.
Bellingham.
Um,
Okay, so you see, I was just trying to give you an example. I will pick
yeah,
Vini, right? I would say Vini
yeah.
will be winning. You have a different opinion, So imagine that you have 100 different people,
Hmm.
different opinions, So this is why I'm like, it wasn't really a robbery. I don't really believe in like UEFA is corrupt. They hate Real Madrid. I don't really believe in that. It's all about opinion because at the end of the day, some people can say Carvajal is the best player in the world. And I'm sure some people probably picked Carvajal as the winner, Of some,
Yeah.
I saw some people pick like Yamin Yamal as the Ballon d'Or winner, for example.
Hmm.
You know, you see, so I feel like we're just 100 different people, 100 different opinions, and that's just the way it is. It's voting, It's not just one person that picks who's gonna win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I understand, and I've heard like some people say, and again, I'm probably gonna get hate for this, but this is just my opinion, guys. People say because he's a black player, that's why it's so hard for him to win, and I'm like, I mean, I don't really believe that. You know what I mean? Um, I'm not saying that racism doesn't exist in Europe or other countries in the world, but just saying that, oh, if he was white, Vinny would have won the Ballon d'Or. I mean, I don't agree with that necessarily because again, it's all about opinions. It's all about like who you think is best because you will pick Jude Bellingham. I will pick Vinny
Hmm.
Jr. Another person could pick Carvajal. Another person could pick, you know, another player. So, but that's just my opinion again.
I think I've heard that. I've read that too. I've heard some people
hmm
kind of say there's a racism element in there as well. And, Vinny has spoken up about some of the racism that he has experienced um, while playing, which is very commendable for him to do. I agree, though. I don't think you can say that's the reason for this when you just have such a difference of opinions from all different people, and everybody watches the game slightly differently. Everybody has slightly different opinions about how they read the game and teams they like. I mean, everyone, we've all got biases of teams that we like. We've all got biases of teams that we don't like, and players that we don't like, and players that we like. Like that's just kind of the nature of watching football and sport. And there's going to be that subjectivity of like people's opinions are going to clash. So that's just kind of the way it is.
Yep.
I don't think Vinny was robbed. I don't think Rodri was. I don't think you could sit there and go Rodri was overwhelmingly, unanimously the best player of the year. I think partly what I think too, to kind of go back to what you were saying about the award itself, I think Messi and Ronaldo's dominance of winning that award kind of almost ruined it for everybody else.
Yeah, I know, right?
Because the standard was just so high for so long, and now those players are entering, the later years of their careers. They're not playing in Europe's top leagues. The award has almost, been a little bit ruined by how good both those two players have been over the years.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, again, in recent years, it seems like there's been a lot more bias towards players that have had good international tournaments, or 2021, it was just Messi because it was Messi. But yeah, like the Ballon d'Or it used to be such an exciting thing. I don't know if you remember, like every year there was just the big battle between, is it going to be Ronaldo or is it going to be Messi this year? And they both had great seasons, and nobody leaked the winner ahead of time. Nobody, like, I don't know, it felt like it was more of an exciting award. It's kind of lost its meaning a little bit, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Social media has ruined it a lot too. I mean, obviously, you remember early 2010s, late 2000s, like social media wasn't a big thing, so there wasn't any Fabrizio Romano that will just show up on your feed, it wasn't such a big thing, and not everybody in the world had, access to social media as much as now, so obviously that social media has done a really big part of ruining it for us. But I looked at the stats right now, and I see 24 goals and 14 assists from Vini in the season. I'm like, that's like what, a month worth of goals for Ronaldo and Messi back in the day. You know what I mean? Like especially that year that Messi scored 92 goals in one season.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like back in the day we're like, oh yeah, that's normal. We're not really like, we're not really like surprised anymore. We're like, so, oh yeah, 60 goals, 70 goals, 92 goals, 54 assists, okay. Yeah, you deserve the Ballon d'Or. But now, we don't really see that anymore. You scored 24 goals, you are even in the Ballon d'Or conversation. That was unthinkable back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I totally agree with you, Ali, on that. That unfortunately for us, I mean, Ronaldo and Messi kind of ruined it for everyone because now, and I saw so many posts on social media about people saying that football has fallen off so much because we had like those great players, Ronaldo, Messi, Iniesta, Xavi. Those players were so good. But now, I mean, we have Vini, we have Rodri, but it's not the same quality. Let's just be honest. No offense to them; they're amazing players, but it's just not the same quality that we had.
Yeah, I think what we're probably realizing is the thing about Ronaldo and Messi is just how unbelievably consistent they were year after year at that top level. I mean, like you said, 60 goals and 40 assists was a normal season for those guys. Like that could have, you could have an argument that was a bad season for those guys, like the standard was just so high, and the fact that it's not like they were doing it just one season, it was every season. Those were the numbers that they were putting up. In my opinion, that's why I think it feels like football has fallen off, because we haven't really had any player that's consistently been at that level. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
there's been players that have had good seasons. There's been players that have had a good couple seasons or a good few seasons, but nobody's really emerged as consistently that level since Ronaldo and Messi left Europe. Yeah, let's talk about the Champions League. The last time we talked, we were kind of previewing, or the last episode, we kind of previewed some of the Champions League results. I thought maybe what we could do is just kind of look at the Champions League table right now. We kind of talked about the new format a little bit, with it being one big table, and take a look at the table and kind of say some surprises. So I have the table pulled up here, and I'm seeing Aston Villa top. 3 games, 3 wins,
Yeah.
scored 6, conceded 0. Aston Villa have not conceded a goal yet in the Champions League, and they've played Bayern Munich.
Uh-huh.
How crazy is that?
It's insane to me. Like, this is incredible. This is like a huge accomplishment for Aston Villa. That was, they were, I think, the championship, like, what, 3 years ago? Something like that. They they were recently promoted, like 3 or 4 years
Yeah,
ago.
I think
And
it
I
was
remember, like,
2019.
and I remember they were, like, really struggling to, even stay in the Premier League about a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So for them to not only qualify for a European tournament, but also on top of that, the Champions League, and then performing this well is incredible. Honestly, if I were an Aston Villa fan right now, I would just be the happiest person alive. And I don't know if I would even go to bed ever, because I'll always be like, oh my God, my team's in the Champions League. We're the best team in the Champions League after 3 games. And they only have, I think, 5 more games.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're probably gonna go to the next round. Honestly, if they keep that way, they just have to win like 2 or 3 games. Even if they lose the rest of them, they're probably gonna be among the top 8. Because you remember, guys, the top 8 is automatic qualification to the round of 16. And then if you are like anything outside of the top 8, then you have to play what's called again, the round of 32.
The playoff, like the 2-leg
The playoff.
playoff.
Yeah, it's technically the round of 32 that you have to play to be able to get in the round of 16. So, incredible achievement.
They've given themselves a really, really good chance of being in that top 8. They couldn't have dreamed that would be the case 3 or 4 years ago when they were struggling to stay in the league.
Incredible.
We obviously, Christian, you and I know this, and we talk about this outside of the podcast. But my dad, I will say it here on the podcast, my dad is an Aston Villa fan. He attends a lot of their games. He was actually at their most recent Champions League game against Ballon, I think. So, he's loving it right now. He's really loving how well they're doing.
This is impressive, honestly. Like, and then obviously you have to give credit to Unai Emery. This is his legacy. This is him. He does really well in Europe. With whatever team that he plays with, always does well in Europe. Unless it's Arsenal, of course. Doesn't know what happened in Arsenal.
And
in 2019, just as a reminder, guys, Arsenal lost in 2019 against Chelsea in the Europa League final, and that was his first loss in the European final. So I think that's his only loss too. Yeah, so that's crazy.
I think it certainly is only Europa League final loss.
Yeah, because he's won he won like 3 or 4 in a row with Sevilla. Incredible.
Yeah, and then he won it with Villarreal, beating Man United a few years ago as well, which
Villarreal.
Nobody expected that. So
nobody even heard of Villarreal before until he took that team all the way there.
Yeah,
and now Aston Villa, incredible.
The guy is a specialist in European competitions. He's great at it. The only other team with 3 wins out of 3, by the way, is Liverpool. So there's only 2 teams after the first 3 matches that have 3 wins. And it's Aston Villa and Liverpool. So it's looking good for the Premier League teams right now.
Yeah, that's really good. And Arsenal is 9th, but I mean, I think they're probably going to be in the top 8 at the end of all the games. I don't see them struggling, but again, anything can happen.
Yeah, well, and you have third place down to 9th place is all 7 points, and it's all 2 wins and 1 draw. So, those top 9 teams yet to lose a game in the Champions League.
And you have
goal
Monaco,
difference, I think, but
the French teams are doing really well, except PSG, which is like PSG is like bottom, like 19th on the table, and then Monaco is doing good, and Brest is doing good too, which is surprising. I mean, Brest is like it's like Aston Villa, like fighting relegation, and all of a sudden in the Champions League, and now they're on their way to the round of 16 of the Champions League, which is impressive. So
it really is. I think while we're talking about it, why don't we talk about some of the maybe more surprising ones? Barcelona in 10th, 2 wins, 1 loss. One of their wins was against Bayern Munich, which was pretty impressive. We'll come on to Bayern in a bit because they're even further down the table. But Barcelona and Real Madrid 10th and 12th. Does that surprise you?
No, I mean those two teams. I mean, essentially Real Madrid. You know, they can all be the underdog all season. They don't care. They can even they can be like they even end up like among the teams in the round of 32, struggling to go through, but they always find a way. Um, and Barcelona, they only lost the first game, and then the next 2 games they beat Bayern Munich 4-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is crazy. I mean, usually it's like what Bayern Munich does to them. Like they just like walk all over them. They control the midfield, score a bunch of goals. It's been like that for the past 3 or 4 seasons. Actually, more than that. Yeah, like probably 5 or 6 seasons. And now, you know, Barcelona just kind of won. But the Barcelona coach, incredible,
Hansi
very
Flick.
good coach. Yeah, he's really doing a really good job with Barcelona right now, making sure they're competitive. I haven't seen Barcelona play this well since Messi was playing.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Elliot.
Yeah, they look really good. And I mean, again, later down the list of stuff to talk about today is the Clasico. So don't worry to those of you that are wondering if we're going to talk about that. We are going to talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Juventus down there as well. 2 wins, 1 loss. PSG, like you mentioned, they've only won one of their games. They drew one and they lost the other one. So PSG is struggling a little bit in the Champions League, which to me, I don't think that's really a huge surprise. They lost Mbappe. They've lost a lot of those kind of superstars that they had in the team a few seasons ago, and it's just not the same team anymore that it used to be.
They kind of changed their the strategy. They don't want to just bring the big stars because before, oh my goodness, especially in 2021, I think that's the year when Messi left Barcelona. Like that, that trade deadline was impressive. They had Sergio Ramos, they had Messi, they had Donnarumma. They brought, they had I think they brought another superstar. I forgot. Obviously Mbappe. They re-signed Mbappe again.
Yeah, well, they had Di Maria for a little bit too.
Yeah, and that Neymar. Like this team was stacked, and now I feel like they kind of changed their ways because they're like, we tried for years to bring the best players, and it hasn't worked because they don't care if they won't win the Ligue 1, La Ligue 1 for 10 seasons. They don't care. Because La Ligue 1 they win it every year essentially, and maybe once in a while, a team like Monaco or Marseille, beats them. But they don't really care about that. They want to win the Champions League because that's the trophy they've been running. I mean, even like, I don't know, like whenever Qatar bought, the Qatar government bought PSG, that was the main goal. Obviously they want to like dominate in France, which they've done in the past 10 years.
Yeah.
Over 10 years actually. But the biggest thing now, what they want to do is they want to win the Champions League. And they haven't been able to for the past over 10 years now. So I think they have Luis Enrique. They're trying things differently now. I don't know if it's going to work because the Champions League is different now. Everybody's learning. Even Real Madrid, they're kind of confused. Like everybody's like, what? Aston Villa top of the table? Does that mean they're going to win? Everybody's so confused. So he's going to take some use to that. I just don't know how they're going to do. I really don't know. I think only time will tell.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look good for them. I don't see them winning the Champions League anytime soon, unfortunately, if ever.
Honestly, I agree with you. I don't see it happening unless something goes really, really well for them. I don't see it happening. Yeah. So Bayern Munich currently in 23rd. They've lost 2 of their games. Of course, they won their first game 9-2, which kind of coming into that, you're thinking, well, they're going to come out here and dominate everybody, but they go to Aston Villa, they lose there, and then like we mentioned, they lose at Barcelona. A little bit unusual for them. I mean, I think again later on in the list we'll kind of talk about Bundesliga and how they're doing there. But I guess my take on it is, like you said, that we're only 3 games in. There's 8 games to play. There's still a lot more. There's a lot more time for things to change.
Absolutely.
Some of the ones that are currently sitting in the elimination places, so that's 25th down to the bottom, so anyone that's below 25th or 25th or below in the table. We have AC Milan, we have Atletico Madrid, and RB Leipzig, which those are kind of three surprising ones that have really not had a good start to the Champions League.
Especially RB Leipzig, three losses in the Champions League. They are really struggling. And how is Bayer Leverkusen doing, by the way?
Leverkusen is up in 6th. They're one of the team. They're one of the teams that have. They're one of the teams that have won 2, drawn 1. So they sit on 7 points.
They're doing great. They're doing really good, better than Real Madrid and other teams like that. So that's really impressive. I mean, as I was telling you earlier, it's so different. You know, it's not the same. You only have to worry about 4 teams. You have to be better than you have to be better than the 3 other teams you are playing against, and you just have to be top 2, and then you go to the round of 16. It was so simple. I mean, that's so different now. You play different teams, and I think everybody's gonna struggle really the first 3 or 4 seasons with this new format. Especially, I think this is really good for smaller teams, like Monaco, Brest. You know, who else? Even at Aston Villa, those like lesser teams that don't really that never in the Champions League really, or are there once in a while, or like Aston Villa. I don't even know when was the last time they won the Champions League, like 20 years ago or something like that.
Maybe the 1980s, I think.
Oh my God! So it's you see that it's I think it's a good thing for teams like that because they just have to try to rack up points and try to find a way to get points. You know, it's not just about winning anymore. You just have to try to rack points, and I think it's more interesting. But I don't know, have you how do you feel about this right now, about this new format, after 3 games?
You know, I was a little hesitant. I know when we talked about it before, I wasn't really sure what to make of it, but I'm quite enjoying it. I think it does make things more interesting. I think it does make it so that every single game matters. I know that's one of the things that UEFA said was supposedly one of the benefits of this tournament, but I think we're seeing it now. Aston Villa, West, Leverkusen, Sporting in Portugal too. They're currently in 8th, so they, as it stands, straight through to the round of 16. Obviously, again, there's still a lot more games to play, but it gives a lot more weight and importance to the games. I think it has made the games a little bit more interesting. My initial thoughts are positive. I quite like it. How about you?
I mean, I don't know, honestly. I think I want to give it a time, maybe after 1 season and reassess and see exactly what's at hand here. I really think that, I don't know, I just like the old format before. It was so much easier and simpler to understand, just look at the tables, you see, top 2, who's going through, who's going home. It was just, I don't know. I just don't know why they have to change it. You know what I mean? It was working before. Everybody loved the Champions League the way it was. It's just different now. I don't know. I just have to get used to it, I guess, and do the new format. But yeah, it's just too early for me to say if I like it or not. Obviously, there's advantages of it. There's pros and cons of it. So just have to give it time to see how it evolves. But
yeah. All right, we are back, and before we move away from European competition, we're going to talk briefly about the Europa League and the Conference League. So the Europa League, we'll start with the Europa League. It follows a similar format, of course, to the Champions League with the new format, with the table and everything. They have 3 teams right now that have won all 3 of their games. It's Lazio, Tottenham, and Anderlecht. Those are the 3 teams that have won 3 out of 3. Have you been? I haven't really, to be honest, been paying too much attention to the Europa League necessarily, but have you? I don't know. What are your thoughts about what you know of it this season?
Me neither. I haven't really paid attention to it, but Tottenham is doing really well. They are. I didn't even know about how Tottenham was doing. I kind of follow about Manchester United because it's Manchester United and any competition that they are included in. They stole our spot and they're doing so terribly in the Europa League. They're 21st right now. Oh my
Yeah,
God,
they've
awful.
they've drawn 3 out of 3 of their games.
Hmm.
The one that happened last week, they drew against Fenerbahce, who are managed by the special one,
The
Jose.
special one, yeah, Jose Mourinho.
He got the better.
Yeah,
He kind of
so
got the better of them, and that was a great example of Jose being Jose and getting himself sent off. His whole post-match interview is well worth a watch after that game.
absolutely.
It's classic Jose. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's probably the biggest surprise is Man United kind of struggling a little bit. Even though they've had their issues in the last few years, and again, we'll kind of come on to them in a little bit and some other recent developments that's happened at that club. But in a competition like the Europa League, there's somebody that you would usually expect to do well. So it is kind of surprising that they are struggling. Another one that's struggling, which kind of surprised me a little bit, was Roma. They are currently sitting in 19th with 1 win, 1 draw, and 1 loss. They're a team that typically I feel like has done quite well, certainly in the last few years in European competition. They won the Conference League, of course, and again, when Jose was managing there, they were looking pretty good, but kind of surprising that they are struggling. I don't know. I'm kind of just looking through the table and seeing where we're at. I mean, Tottenham. I know we both have very strong bias against Tottenham, but we have to say they've been doing well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then obviously the Conference League, the greatest European UEFA competition this year. Chelsea, I think we're top of the league, right?
I think so. I'm just pulling it up here right now.
Yeah. 2 games, 2 wins, 6 points, clean. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. The best team in the Europe Conference League right now. And I mean, honestly, we've done so well. I mean, obviously we've been conceding 3 goals. We conceded 3 goals, which is a lot. But 6 points, 2 wins. I think it's good.
Well, and one of the things that Enzo Maresca has been doing is making 11 changes from the Premier League teams for those Conference League games. So, we have enough of a squad depth that we can change our whole team and still, win those games quite comfortably in the end. I think 4-1 and 4-2 is what the results have ended up being. I think the one of the other teams that's up there is Fiorentina from Serie A. They also have 2 wins from 2. I think they are probably going to be the team that's maybe most likely to give us a challenge, in my opinion. They're another team that's kind of done pretty well in Europa League or Conference League, I think, in the last few years. I mean, Italian teams have done well in Europe recently.
They used to suck for forever.
Yeah,
except, Juventus was the only team that was really good, but yeah.
I don't know. I still feel pretty good as a Chelsea fan about our chances of winning. I think it's reasonable to expect that we should win that tournament, really. I don't know what you think, but I feel like it would be a disappointment if we don't.
It'd be a disgrace if we don't. Like, if you look at, I mean, no offense to the teams that aren't here, but if you look at the squad we have and the fact that we're Chelsea, we should win this tournament. And I'm still to the hope that I want to say that we're the only team in Europe that has won all 3 UEFA competitions. So I think this is going to be a huge, pride for all Chelsea fans. So obviously the Europa League is not where we want to be. We want to be in the Champions League because that's where we belong. But I'll be happy if we win this. And if we don't, it's going to be a disgrace because there's no excuse.
I do have to agree. I was going to take a bit more of a moderate line on it, but I think you're right. It would be a disgrace if we don't win.
Great, man.
Let's switch a little bit here to talk about some developments in the Premier League. Manchester United just fired their coach, Erik Ten Hag, after 2.5 years. I feel like that was coming, really. I mean, it wasn't really much of a surprise.
I'm gonna miss him, man. He was a good coach. I think he was the best coach in the league. You know what I mean? Like he was doing so good. And I don't understand the Manchester United board, man. They're gonna regret it. I'm telling you. Hopefully, they bring somebody as good as him.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
I
just
hope
being
so too.
sarcastic here, guys. I don't know. Like, I just feel bad for Mason Mount. I felt bad for him. Like, he was our Cole Palmer back in the day.
He was
Our
our kind
youngster
of,
that
yeah,
has so much potential in front of him, ahead of him. He was only like in the early 20s. I'm just hope he bounces back somewhere else because it's a player that I really like. At least he's a Chelsea version. He's been since he joined United. Let's just be honest. It really sucks.
yeah. I'll be honest. I don't necessarily feel too sorry for him. It was quite clear that he wanted to leave. I think he's learning the hard way. The grass isn't always greener somewhere else. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, he was phenomenal for us at his best,
Absolutely.
but yeah, I think after the FA Cup, I think the FA Cup final win saved Ten Hag's job a little bit. I was kind of
Hmm.
surprised even after they won it that they didn't fire him at that point. Last season United finished 8th, I think, which is their worst season in a long time. They're currently sitting 14th right now in the Premier League.
Yeah, that's insane.
So I think it was coming. It's not really a surprise. It's just a shame that
Mhm.
such a great coach couldn't stay for longer.
Oh man, I can't believe this, man. They're
We
gonna regret it, man.
we'll miss the guy.
So let's mention before we move on this part. Let's mention about um, this Manchester City got away with 115 charges, at least temporarily. I think it's on hold or something, but apparently they won a case, so nothing's gonna happen to those people, and I'm really upset about that.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see how it develops. I know one of the cases that they won recently was something separate from the 115 charges. I think it was to do with sponsorship deals and something to do with the Premier League's
Yeah.
regulations and rules on sponsorship deals and that kind of thing. I'd be
Oh well.
surprised if City gets away with it all, to be honest.
And then we want to talk briefly about the Premier League. So City is first, no
Hmm.
surprise there. They're only 1 point ahead of Liverpool. Liverpool's season is great so far. I mean, it's crazy how they switch coach, but it doesn't really see like anything change. Good
Yeah.
for them.
Hmm.
Arsenal, obviously, fall off from last year. They have 18 points. They're 5 points behind City, so this is kind of worrisome for them. But obviously, it's too early in the season. We're gonna see how they're gonna do. You know, but yeah, I just oh, I heard a joke online, but it says that so Arsenal is like a Netflix show. Guess why?
Why?
Next season.
Next
Oh,
season.
oh my god. I swear to God, I laughed so hard. I burst out laughing the moment I saw this. I can't believe I didn't send it to you guys on the
No,
group
I
chat, but
don't
I
think
think I
you
saw the
did.
screenshot
But
of it. Yeah, and it was like I think it was Mourinho or something that said that. Hang on, let me double check. Sorry, it was Patrice
Patrice
Evra.
Evra.
Yeah, it's like watching Arsenal is like watching Netflix. You always wait for the next season. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Anyways,
that's
but
great.
yeah, do you want to talk more about the Premier League? A little bit
Yeah,
more about the
I
Premier
mean, I
League?
guess I don't think there's really any huge surprises. Maybe
Yeah.
Nottingham Forest. I think they're 6th or 7th right now. They've been
Yeah, they're
doing really, really
seventh.
well.
Really impressive.
Um, Obviously, we talked about Man United struggling.
Yeah, then they're 14th, man, with 11 points. This is the great United, man. But
Yeah,
they're gonna regret getting rid of Ten Hag. I'm telling you, it was so good. Oh
just
my
they
goodness.
should have given him another season at least. um, Wolves struggling a little bit, which I think is a little bit surprising. Wolves, I think 19th maybe. They haven't won any games yet. They've drawn 2. They're scoring goals, but they're really struggling to pick up points. They're a team that I think has been kind of consistently mid-table, but looking a little bit in trouble now, potentially. Again, it's early. It's early on in the season to really make any long-term predictions, but I think we're at the point too where you kind of start to see the table take shape a little bit, and too early to make any definite judgments, but I'd be worried if I was a Wolves fan.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is bad. Like, but this you have so many games. You have like what 29 more games in the season. So many things can happen.
There's still a long
You
way
want to
to
talk
go.
about La Liga,
Yeah,
with the Clasico.
we're going to go around the league. So Clasico happened this past weekend as we're recording. Real Madrid, Barcelona, one of, if not the most prestigious fixture in European football. 0-0 at halftime, full time at the Bernabeu. Real Madrid 0, Barcelona 4. Did not see that coming.
Yeah, I watched the game, and Real Madrid was really struggling with the high line. I think Mbappe had like 12 offsides, which is like crazy to me. But yeah, it's I mean, the Barcelona's coach is doing great, and Robert Lewandowski has 14 goals already. 14 goals, and we're not even 10 games. Yeah, we're 11 games in the La Liga, but it's impressive. And Real Madrid is already 6 points behind Barcelona. 6 points. Just 11 games. So this is worrisome for Real Madrid. Obviously Mbappe, he scored 6 goals in the Liga, top scorer in Real Madrid right now, but it's just not enough right now. So I mean, I really like Mbappe. He's a great player, and I hope he doesn't turn into another Hazard, our legend Hazard for Chelsea. I really hope he doesn't, because that would be a shame, And I hope that he succeeds, and he deserves to win at least 1 or 2 Ballon d'Or, in my opinion. I really want that for his career. But it's a tough start for sure. But
yeah, I think Real Madrid too. Kind of Bellingham hasn't quite hit the heights that he had last season. Obviously, I mean, we talked about Vinny earlier. He's doing well. They lost Courtois again to injury, I think. Struggling a little bit more defensively, so not quite. I mean, we were sat here when there was all the rumors about Mbappe going to Real Madrid, and then once it was finally confirmed, we were sat here going, "Well, that's it. It's over for everybody else. Real Madrid's got Mbappe."
I know,
but,
right?
It's just funny how it works out sometimes, and not quite gone the way that we expected. But credit to Barcelona, credit to Hansi Flick.
Absolutely,
they've been great. Did we want to just kind of briefly talk about where things are at in the other leagues as well, the other top leagues in Europe?
Yeah, just a couple more leagues. I think we can squeeze that in. So we have Serie. Serie, I don't know if you see the table, but Antonio Conte, I think he's a legend, Chelsea legend, to be honest. He won us the league. They are first, and Napoli they haven't been good last year. I think they finished they're not even in Europe this year.
I think they were 10th.
Awful.
I think they finished 10th in Serie A last year.
Yeah, they were awful last year. So they bought Lukaku, and our ex-player, because we sold him this summer. But they're doing good. Inter is like a powerhouse now in Italy. And then we have Milan, AC Milan, that is really struggling right now. They have 14 points, and they are 8th in the league, which is like really bad for them. So
they've struggled. They had a bit of a resurgence a few years ago. They were kind of the top team in Italy, and they've kind of slid back down the rankings again a little bit. But yeah, credit to Conte and what he's been doing at Napoli so far. They've been 7 points ahead of Inter Milan. They've played 10. Inter's only played 9, but still, I mean, great for them. Bundesliga, obviously last season was all about Bayer Leverkusen. They finally did lose a game in the end in the league. And right now we're looking at Bayern Munich with the company, even though, as we mentioned, in the Champions League, it's not really been going that great for them. In Bundesliga, they seem to be kind of back.
Yeah, Bayern Munich, definitely. They are tied in the games with points, I think, with Leipzig. And then, but yeah, we'll see. Exciting season, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about PSG a little bit too. I think Ligue 1 is usually going to be dominated by them anyway, but I think it's not quite as exciting as it's been before. But anyway, it's shaping up to be a good season. It's been great. So
exciting, honestly.
Yeah, let's go. We'll go ahead and wrap up here. Thank you guys for listening, as always. Thanks for supporting the podcast. We will see you next time, and I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about next time too.